as I learned last webinar of the C-Blocks webinar series. Today it will be about blockchain, global trade and supply chains, applications, governance, and industry challenges. And we have also three distinguished guests, which I'm introducing you in a moment. I was asked to kind of inform also the audience about the C-Blocks Impact event. It means this is more or less our final event taking place in Brussels at the 10th of April. And if you are interested to come to Brussels, please register here on the C-Blocks homepage. But since the time is limited and I've seen the speakers have a lot to tell, this will be the agenda. I will give a very brief introduction with only a very few slides before we have then Moritz Bimmeke-Schwaffert from EY Parthenon and former TU Berlin PhD, but still lecturer here at the TU on digital innovation. Then we have Nir Kishetri from the University of North Carolina, and therefore we are also here scheduling the event a little bit later about AI-driven blockchain governance. And then the last speaker is Jan-Gero Alexander Hannemann from Sharing Climate and Bundesblock, who focuses on the IP kind of opportunities of using blockchain technologies. And I start with a slide by my former colleague Peter Swan, who did some review of the role of standards for trade. And he shows here the different functions of standards: variety reduction, codifying knowledge, compatibility, very important, quality, safety, and measurement, which then allow to exploit economies of scale, division of labor, also creating network effects, very important, but also reducing transaction costs and creating trust and risk, which is key also, especially for cross-border developments. But this has implication on prices, productivity, innovation, but also outsourcing and global value chains. But in 2010, it was not so prominent to talk about global value chain. Meanwhile, the story becomes a little bit more difficult, and I just show you very briefly, without really going into details, what I put together with introducing a new kind of important dimension of global trade and value chains. That means technological sovereignty. And in a paper just recently published here, that's the next slide, I elaborate a little bit on why standardization is a safeguard for technological sovereignty, because the human resources, that means the involvement of the researchers, is key. Research and development is necessary to influence standardization. Publications are also, scientific publications are the base for standards. Patents, but not only patents, more and more also software is a topic. And then also bringing innovative topics into standardization is maybe a strategy to safeguard technological sovereignty. Then also trade links, and very important also from the European perspective is policy and regulation as a framework also for standardization. That means I could give a whole lecture on that, but I'm more interested on what the guest speakers are going to tell us, because they are more at the leading edge, especially of technology and trade, and with a specific focus on blockchain and AI and blockchain. And therefore, I'd like now to hand over to Moritz, talking about the role of blockchain, global value chains, applications and barriers to adoption, also reporting kind of recent research he has done. Moritz, the floor is yours.
All right. So I hope you can see the presentation screen right now.
Yes.
Yes, perfect. Then also good afternoon from my side. Thank you, Knut, for the introduction, and it's my pleasure to continue the session here and to talk a little bit more about the potentials of blockchain technology for international trade, in particular for fragmented global value chains. And I will elaborate a little bit on this differentiation. But also, yeah, spill some insights about the technology's limits and specifically the barriers of adoption that we observed. And most of the insights I present now, or the vast majority, is based on a recent publication that has been published in Telecommunication Policy last year, and we analyzed hundreds or almost thousands of papers and use cases in this context, and yeah, we're answering the question whether and how blockchain innovation can play a role in facilitating trade in global value chains, but also particularly what might hinder the adoption in this context, and try to synthesize the ongoing projects and literature, categorize it, and derive implications from that. So this is what I will mainly present today. And one major insight of this paper is or this research that for sure blockchain is not a standalone solution and panacea. It unfolds its potential in this context here with different technologies, specifically also geo technologies, GPS, for example, but also more sophisticated ones, of course, with integration with ERP systems, integration with IoT networks, and also it is just an infrastructural resource that might be dominant in some contexts, but not always, of course. So this have to be taken with a little grain here, also the potentials that I elaborate on a little bit. So we're talking about, or I'm talking about, global value chains today, which is a little bit different yeah, maybe if we only talk about supply chains, etc. So what we focused on in this paper was yeah, global trade and interaction. So blockchain applications for situations, circumstances where products are traded between borders. So there's always a cross-border component. And this global value chain framework, yeah, is evolving in economics research in the last 30 years. And it deals with the fact that most of the products now are produced in a series of stages in different countries. So iPhone, for example, is not only produced in one country, it's designed in California and then, of course, assembled in different Asian countries with different components, added value in different countries. So this is basically the focus of this talk here. And of course, with this kind of complexity of trade and global value chains, come lots of challenges also that are still mainly a consequence of yeah, of non-digitization in this context. And this is also a main takeaway that probably most of these challenges could be solved with certain digital innovations, and blockchain proposes a promising avenue for that. And yeah, to talk a little bit more about the challenges regarding currently trade and global value chains. This mainly stems, as I said, from manual or non-digital processes. So in global trade, we observe fragmented documentation, different compliance issues. There are different jurisdictions in different countries, different requirements, and they are mostly fulfilled still paper-based. Also, due to the complexity of fragmented value chains, there's a lack of transparency, which makes it hard to verify product origins, certifications, but of course, sustainability trends and also regulatory requirements exactly require that you can track products or services to their origins. Also, trade finance is an issue with, of course, the dollar dependency of the world economy, but also other currency fluctuations. And you have processes like letter of credits in international trade processes that take a lot of time, are paper-based, and also are always prone to human error. And of course, due to more intransparency, there might be also a risk of fraud or counterfeit products, also because data is not properly shared in non-digital systems. And yeah, any kind of digital innovation actually can provide a transformative opportunity to streamline that. And yeah, based on our research, we found that blockchain might offer several avenues. And we try to cluster these avenues in 5 categories, basically, through which blockchain can drive this transformation and make trade also more efficient and more error-free. and also increase value for all participants, from consumer to producers, but also regulators. And we came up with these framework of 5 categories, which, of course, are not always perfectly excludable. For example, the first 2 might have some overlaps. We came up with the category trade documents, trade finance, trusted real-time information sharing, provenance, and a kind of horizontal category, sustainable global value chains. And one of the most important categories for use cases, where we found a lot of applications as well as academic literature, were trade documents. And here blockchain can significantly contribute to fraud reduction, enhanced security, enhanced efficiency. This stems from the fact that enabling a digital platform for trade documents is really crucial, since there's a lot of manual processes involved. There are tons of papers produced always when a certain product is crossing a border, when it's coming to a harbor, for example. For exporting roses, for example, they have to be provided 100 different documents or type of documents, and this of course leads to efficiencies if this is all paper-based and payment is depending on the on the acceptance of these documents and certifying the receipt, for example. And there are also studies that show that 15% of the transportation costs are actually caused by trade document administration. And blockchain provides an avenue to also via smart contracts to automatize processes. For example, if certain goods are delivered, for example, that a bill of lading is executed, and the payment can be executed based on arrival. Of course, this has to be combined with other technologies so that no human interaction is properly necessary to certify the receipt, for example. This could be done with location sensors, for example. And there are many examples and applications. I think I have not the best example here, TradeLens, because it's unfortunately abandoned 1 year ago. But I choose this example because it might be useful to think about this for the later presentation. So TradeLens was a joint venture between Maersk and IBM, which included a platform, blockchain platform for international trade. Not only about trade documents, it was also about trusted real-time information sharing. And the trade, actually it has been abandoned in 2023, although was quite a success story, and many proof of concepts came out of this platform. But one of the supposed reasons is then there is just a governance issue when the leading company in global logistics is hosting such a platform, so it was not properly used by different companies as well. So this is one of the reasons why it was abandoned, which has shown that governance is a real issue in blockchain networks, and we will hear about it today a little bit more as well. And the second category is, as I said, closely related to the trade document part. Traditional trade finance suffers usually from many delays, manual processing, and also paper-based documentation again, which also is prone to errors due to human interaction. And most of the use cases focus on the letter of credit, which is used to postpone payments for deliveries, for example, quite often in international trade transactions. And there are many quite easy wins and easy implementations where blockchain could automatize this process of letter of credit. And then the banks ASBC and ING, for example, have calculated that this could improve the processing time of letter of credits from 10 days to just 1 day. And apart from this, there are other opportunities in trade finance, for example, through cross-border payments. And there we can also think about cryptocurrencies that might make it easier with less transaction costs to facilitate trade options. This is a smaller use case, but there are different use cases we elaborate on in the paper. And they all share also the common attribute of blockchain, that there's also more possibilities for compliance and auditing because of the editable, not editable, but auditable and transparent records that are usually, depending, of course, on the blockchain implementation. And yeah, there are companies like Connexa that provide such platforms. A quite important category we identified is also trusted real-time information sharing, which is quite important for this increasingly fragmentation where multiple parties are involved, multiple IT systems have to talk to each other, and blockchain can be one backbone for cross systems to improve the operational efficiency, to share real-time information regarding logistical resources, to reduce lead times and operating costs. And one common example and also use case that is in practice is one from the food industry, to trace the supply chain of certain food produce in order to check whether the conditions have been adhered to during the process. And closely related to that, use cases in the area of provenance, where it's about verifying the product origins to ensure that they adhere to certain standards. For example, this could be sustainability standards, but also regulatory standards, and provide an immutable trail where product comes from, and to also show that to customers, to regulators. And there we have the prominent example is the Bear's tracer platform for diamonds, to trace back the origins of diamonds. And quite a horizontal category is the sustainable global value chain area, which focuses on environmental and social practices with verifiable data. So there's a huge need for a solution to provide an immutable record of production processes and environmental data, and this could be facilitated as many use cases show. But for this we come to a critical challenge that I will discuss on the next slide, the so-called Oracle problem. And this is what is one part of the key barriers that need to be overcome for blockchain applications in global trade to unfold their potential. And this is basically our finding of analyzing these thousands of papers regarding different levels. And I already talked about the Oracle problem, which we consider kind of a technical barrier. So the Oracle problem refers to the issue that there needs always to be in these applications kind of a physical link between the real world and the data which goes onto the blockchain, which then usually should be immutable on the blockchain. But once it enters, it has to be kind of validated that it's correct data which goes on the blockchain. And this is, of course, a huge showstopper for many use cases and applications, specifically also within the categories I told you about a couple of minutes ago. And to solve this kind of Oracle problem, then one has to design the systems with the least human interaction as possible, of course, and use certain technologies, let's say, for example, sensors, but also GPS data, for example, that of course still can be manipulated to some extent, but it can properly automatize processes and avoid or reduce at least the risk of wrong data getting on a blockchain. Along with this technical barrier, there are of course other problems that we still, and I know this project here intends to contribute to that, that there's still lack of interoperability of blockchain frameworks, also a lack of standardization on different areas and levels of blockchain technology, which also leads to different limitations of different implementations regarding network security, latency, or scalability. But this really depends on the kind of type of blockchain, for example. There are also other barriers and social cultural barriers, for example. I'm going backwards now. There's still there's a lot of lack of trust in blockchain technology due to also mainly due to also the notion of cryptocurrencies, for example, but also international trade is characterized by really established routines and procedures that need to be broken actually with these kind of implementations I presented before. From a regulatory perspective, there's a high jurisdictional complexity, which actually makes the case for a technical solution. But of course, this makes it also hard to, for example, put certain terms into smart contracts, which was also quite a barrier in some of the use cases. Also, to some extent, regulation has to be adjusted. For example, that some documents do not necessarily need to be printed out, like a letter of credit. So there might be also regulatory inertia in some areas or also countries within global value chains that might impede the diffusion. And one key barrier also is the sheer system implementation costs and who actually in the end pays for that, and how to govern these kind of systems. And my colleagues will not directly talk about this, but they will talk about governance and provide some knowledge about also this barrier in this context and some background information as well. And this brings me to some implementations, some implications for future implementations, where blockchain can be used as an infrastructural resource, and then really can unfold its potential for higher efficiency, transparency, and trust. It really depends on a strategic integration and also collaborative governance, but also there are some very specific things that need to be done on the practitioner side. There needs to be interoperability with existing systems. Of course, there are many trade systems. Every company has ERP systems, and then there need to be common standards and APIs to these systems. There's the interplanetary file system that can be used if larger data needs to be transmitted, unstructured data in particular. Companies need to cover this not only from a managerial perspective to avoid the hype, but they also need to set up interdisciplinary teams, including also legal practitioners, in particular when we talk about complex jurisdictional situations, and then terms and conditions of smart contracts, for example. And of course, there needs to be much collaboration between different companies, between market leaders such as Maersk, for example, and MSC, and also regulators in the key countries. And from the policy maker perspective, this is what is often called for in digital innovation. There needs to be a positive regulatory environment, and regulatory sandboxes could provide an opportunity for that. If we think about the flexibility regarding printed out documents and letter of credit, so this might be done within a regulatory sandbox with some more complexities, of course. Of course, the education, but also the standards and interoperability can be fostered as well from a policymaker perspective. And this brings me to an end. This was only a short run through the topic. I would be very happy if you have a read of this paper here, where we also talk a little more tangible about the implications. Now I'm happy to hand over to Nir, who will talk a little bit more about, or more deeply about governance, also in relation to artificial intelligence in this context. And afterwards, I will here, of course, for questions, and you can always reach me on various platforms and email. Thank you. And I give over to you.
Thank you, Moritz, also to be in time, despite the complexity of the topic, which I think maybe we can have at the end a little bit time to discuss. But now I hand over to Nir to move on and also then introduce the AI dimension here. Nir, the floor is yours.
You need to unmute. Yeah.
Great. You can see my screen, right? Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for the invitation to this webinar about this very, very interesting topic that we are talking about. So basically, Merge covered a lot of. I'll be just kind of elaborating more on some of the things that he just covered. For example, in the context of the global value chain, he talked about blockchain's benefit, like for example, various inefficiencies and those issues related to compliance and sustainability and fraud and various counterfeit goods related issues and transaction. Blockchain can address many of the things, and what we're doing is those things can be addressed even better. Blockchain is artificial intelligence, that is that. Also, some barriers that he talked about. There is the Oracle problem, for example, a technological barrier like latency, scalability, and security and privacy, and like also some things related to the unstructured data, how they can be incorporated. And AI kind of many AI solutions are being developed, and they are trying to address all these things. And basically, the idea is the benefits of blockchain can be even enhanced, amplified, and the barriers can be overcome by using artificial intelligence. This is the idea in this presentation. And so basically, an important thing here is that artificial intelligence is recognized as one of the general purpose technology. In economics, general purpose technology, like only 3 technologies before, like steam engine, electric power, and information technology, those are general purpose technology, and AI is considered to be the 4th one. And so what general purpose technology like AI can do is they foster complementary innovations. Like here, blockchain and AI or kind of complement each other. That is the idea here. And also they transform general purpose technologies, transform the business processes. And so how exactly that is possible here, I'll talk about that. And also blockchain is not quite general purpose technology, but there was a paper written a few years back that it also actually has some characteristics of general purpose technology that they talk about. And so I'll talk about that. And so in the paper just published last month in Computer, I talked about how artificial intelligence and blockchain work together, but I basically looked at the blockchain's role in strengthening AI. So this is the article published in Computer last month on building trust in AI using blockchain. I'm looking at the other link, the link on the other side, how AI enhances blockchain. So this paper is already here. This is freely available, available to download for everyone if you search that one. And so here is my book, Blockchain and Supply Chain Management, 2nd edition, just came a couple of weeks back. And the 3rd chapter in this book talks about how different emerging technologies can be utilized together with blockchain to enhance supply chain or global value chain, or whatever we talk about. So that is the idea here. But there are many emerging technologies, and I'm specifically focusing on the role of artificial intelligence here. So basically, AI's role in blockchain, I'll be mainly doing 2 things: how AI can facilitate blockchain adoption, and another related how core benefits of blockchain can be enhanced and limitations can be overcome. That is the idea in this paper. Again, I emphasize many times. And so basically many benefits of blockchain, like core benefits including transparency, efficiency, and complexity. Like these are the benefits. And also addressing complexity. Blockchain is extremely complicated technologies for many people. It is difficult to understand the smart. And so many people even do not understand still the difference between blockchain and cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, and they consider those as the same thing. And so those are the things here: reducing cost and in general long-term viability of the project, blockchain and AI. So before kind of going further, first little bit things about the benefits of blockchain, and everyone knows who kind of is in this webinar. Definitely, many of the benefits of blockchain includes decentralization. No a single party or single authority or company or government can have control to all the data, and it promotes transparency, and the data on the blockchain is immutable and provides high level of security. And in many cases, smart contract lead to kind of elimination of intermediaries and reduce cost and promote efficiency, and all these things lead to kind of greater impact in the long run. And so briefly about this slide, and so also it had some limitations that Moritz already talked about, that complexity and technical barriers like interoperability and latency and scalability related issues, and all those things are here, and Oracle issues also he talked about, and I don't have to again kind of again emphasize. And then high transaction cost, also another problem currently, and this is an example. Actually, this was published in March 2024, just 1 year before, in Crypto News. And you're saying actually in NFT transaction the cost was $372.29 at peak time. This was the first week of March. Maybe using AI, cost of transaction in any blockchain related can be reduced, and that is the idea here. And so AI enhances blockchain. That's what I'm focusing on. And so for that, I'm strategic game framework, and strategic game framework is not really my original idea, using kind of blockchain, using the kind of strategic game framework. And actually I was with this Vitalik Buterin, the co-founder of Ethereum, last September in the Nanyang Technology University in Singapore, and he also gave his presentation, and they organized a big seminar. And so basically in that one he was using the framework of kind of game theory to analyze blockchain. And so I basically expanded that idea using kind of game. So in this one, what I'm trying to do is AI as a catalyst for blockchain strategy, and so how AI helps. And in this one, what is the context we are talking about? Maybe organizational context, or individual or inter-organizational context. So that is the context that we are talking about. Organizational context means blockchain artificial intelligence can help my company to engage in blockchain related transaction in a better way. So that is the context, organizational context. Or inter-organizational transaction that we are talking about, like the role of arbiters, and AI can help in the inter-organizational context. And that, so two contexts that I'm talking here. And there are four roles. Four roles here means functions that AI can serve, and the roles are AI can help as a player, because we are talking about game. Game has player, a game has kind of competition, a game has, and game has those enforcers, a game has arbiters, and game has even trophies for the winner. And just like here, if you are kind of doing Bitcoin mining, whoever solves the problem first, that person will be awarded with some Bitcoin reward. So that also has some type of thing. So many similarity to the game, strategy game, and that's why four different functions of blockchain that I'll be emphasizing: the blockchain's role as player, rule enforcement, and arbiter. And blockchain can AI, basically this is the role of AI, enhancing blockchain. And also act as three things here. Three things here are AI can act as interfaces, because one problem blockchain has, it is extremely complex. What is going on in the data, and users do not have any idea. So allow user to interact with the blockchain in a better way. So AI enhances the interface, that user interface. That is one thing. And AI can be used as a tool. Tool means assist users in accomplishing tasks. So basically the interface means users interaction can be made kind of easy, more user friendly, and tools means they assist users in accomplishing tasks. So that is another idea. And also agent means so basically the first generation of AI was the predictive AI, and second generation that many people are talking right generative AI, and they're saying that generative AI pretty much cannot be improved a lot anymore. And the third thing that is coming, and many companies are already using the agentic AI. Agentic AI means there are AI agents and they work together, and basically we don't really have to give any prompt like for individual tasks, and we can just give the AI our goal, and the AI automatically figures out all the tasks that are to be performed to achieve that goal. So agents means AI can act as agents. That means they made decisions on behalf of users. Users do not really make decisions. And AI is used as tool. So just the users are the ones making decision. Agents means your users are not making decision. AI is making decision for them. And we are talking about blockchain here and the role of AI. So all these lead to blockchain's organizational adoption, by enhancing the advantages and overcome. And so also this desired outcome is the decentralized AI. So AI is a lot of problem that they are talking about right now. AI is problem of transparency, problem of explainability, and that has mainly to do with because the AI is not on blockchain. So if all the AI things that we are talking about, all the data that basically is the foundation of AI is put on blockchain, so that is likely to be more transparent, and so that is likely to be more explainable AI. So the problem of explainable AI and lack of transparency in AI is resolved if we work this way. This is the main framework, and I think in the rest of the presentation, I'll be just talking about different elements of this, and I pretty much explain this, and I'll just focus on a few more things, and have, I think, 19 more slides to go, and we don't have time, but good thing is we already have this one, and all of you have access to my slides here. So maybe I'll just talk about some of the elements here. And so this is what I gave example here. And so basically the benefits of blockchain and the limitations of blockchain. So the first three rows are the benefits of blockchain, and the last four are the limitations of blockchain that Moritz already explained in his presentation, all these things pretty much. So I have explained here, and so I'm talking about how AI can basically enhance the benefit. Also, it can overcome the limitation. One example, I'll talk about the last one, the high transaction cost. In the high transaction cost, for example, like I was talking about $372 just for a single non-fungible token transaction. And there is the the decentralized physical infrastructure network that many companies are offering that solution. And so the idea to rely on a cloud services provider like Microsoft to store all the blockchain data. And so this decentralized physical network infrastructure network basically uses all the network that are not utilized currently, and it is more decentralized type of thing because they have access to all the networks all over the world. So enabling efficient resource allocation, and so automate trust, and all these lead to affordable resources, and the problem like latency and all those things will be cost. So in the last row that I'm talking about, blockchain as a tool can be used here, and the decentralized physical infrastructure network has efficient scaling of blockchain network by pulling distributed resources, reducing reliance on centralized data center and service provider, and affordable. So basically, this is the explanation how AI can help in all these things, overcome the limitation and enhance the benefits of blockchain. So then rest of the slides I have just talked about these different elements. For example, player are basically there is the decentralized crypto prediction market, but many of the things are currently centralized actually. Like the FTX companies, they were doing a lot of decentralized game, and things were centralized. And so basically prediction accuracy it increases, and real-time analysis of data outperforms human being, because human beings cannot analyze a lot of information. They do not have capability, and AI can help analyze that data in a more faster way. And so a lot of applications like the decentralized financing, and there is also challenges like misconduct, wash trading, and all the things as a player. And so basically blockchain can help address that. So enforcement is what I'll talk a little bit. Enforcement means the idea here is that so all the internet that we have been talking about, which exists for a long time, and so they are basically ruled by code, and so traditional rule by code. And so basically my company Amazon has these codes, and Amazon rules the internet by code. That means we do not have access to that, and that can lead to kind of exploitation of users. And so the centralized player can do a lot of things. They are not transparent. And blockchain is rule of code. Rule of code, that means nothing like no one stands above the code. That is the idea in blockchain. So basically blockchain code is self-enforced, but a main challenge is that blockchain is also a governance mechanism. Looking at the from the governance mechanism, what is happening here is, if you look at the real world governance really depends on the quality and knowledge of citizens. If the citizens are not knowledgeable about the democratic process, and the democracy cannot really function well. So in the case of governance, using blockchain as a governance mechanism, there is a challenge because many people who participate in the blockchain and the crypto market have a lack of understanding of how exactly different things, complicated things like smart contracts, and that's why there is the enforcement problem. Because of the enforcement problem, and maybe law enforcement agencies are using AI to help enforce it in a better way, so that people are not victimized, because that is due to their kind of lack of knowledge. So basically, like there are many examples here in the US. For example, the Department of Justice has many operations, and Next Fund AI, Secure Digital Assets, and they are using all these tools to make sure that people are not victimized, and those without the lack of knowledge about how exactly blockchain functions. So basically the idea is to make sure that no one stands above the core in blockchain related network. I think my time is already over, and what I'll do is I'll just end this thing here. Knut, did you want to say something?
Nia, you should come to an end, because I want also to give Jan Gero the floor. I don't know, do you have a summarizing slide or something like
Sure,
that?
I'll just take 30 seconds, and I'm just explaining different components of the figure here. And so I was a little bit more ambitious here, a lot of slides. And so basically what I'm saying is it has transformational benefits, AI and blockchain, two general purpose technologies combining together. And in the role, AI can act as a player, AI can act as an interface, AI can act as a tool and rules and arbiters. And so actually these slides explain different things about the solutions in arbiters. Chainlink has launched and focusing on many things, especially in the European Union countries related to corporate governance type of thing. And the ultimate goal is decentralized and autonomous a kind of organization is what like blockchain and AI working together are trying to create. I think this is the kind of summary of the entire things that I talked. And thank you very much. And I'll just end here, and let's see some question and I'll try to address.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Sorry for interrupting you, but I want to give everybody his deserved space.
Yeah.
And maybe one question for the final discussion is kind of what is the link you think to standardization? But now, Jan Gero, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much. I just tried to share my PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah,
can you see it? Okay.
Thank
You can see it, yeah? Okay,
Yes, we can.
Yes, hello everyone. Thank you very much for giving me the time to present my research here. My name is Jan Alexander Hanemann. I'm an Ethereum research fellow at the moment and board member of the German Blockchain Association. And today I want to introduce a groundbreaking approach to patent licensing using decentralized autonomous organizations, DAOs, and micropayments, and try to set that in connection with efficiency of smarter supply chains. Let's dive right in. First of all, this is my agenda you see here. I could explain you a little bit how this will now look like, but I probably will just jump directly to my parts because we are a little bit under time constraints now. First of all, let me introduce you to this topic. we have in general a problem. We have a lack of transparency when it comes to data silos, centralized control, a high transaction cost also are involved in this field of patents. It's very difficult actually to obtain a patent, and this is also very difficult with regard to supply chains. It's usually manual licensing, intermediaries who are there. You have to go through big due diligence processes. It's quite horrible, actually. I speak out of experience here, and it takes a lot of time. And in the end, it's very, very costly. Not only the process, but also if you want to obtain a license, to obtain this license. So a lot of inefficiency that we see here when we look at how to attribute IP, actually. And in the end, we have the problem that creators don't get fair compensation either, especially the smaller ones. If we look at big companies, of course, they run all these due diligence processes. They put this into their when they put something in their supply chains, then it's already audited in the best possible way. But what is with the small players here? This is quite difficult, and the traditional licensing models often involve these high costs and monopolies. This makes it a bit complicated. And today I would like to tell you a little bit about my research and my ideas how DAOs might offer a decentralized and transparent alternative to the way how it is done at the moment. So the current patent licensing system, let's have a look at this, is, in my opinion, actually quite outdated, and there were not many changes within the last decades, which is a bit sad because there's a lot of potential. We have cost and innovation barriers, of course. Patent fees and legal costs block smaller players from accessing key technologies, which is a problem because if you want to really innovate something, you need to have access to patents. Otherwise, you get a problem when you bring something out to the market and they will come after you, most likely. So this is actually quite limiting. Yeah. Then we have this inefficiency in licensing. Traditional models are quite slow. They are super bureaucratic. And also they are hard to enforce. So for both sides, this is not perfect. It's not perfect for the innovators who want to innovate something. It's not perfect for the one who actually wants to license out his patent because he then has to go through certain institutions who do this for him. Due diligence is expensive, lump sum payments. Nobody wants to pay a lot if he is just in the innovation process. This makes it very complicated. And additionally, of course, the lack of transparency, the close nature of patent transitions makes it also hard to track who is using what at the current stage, what is actually in usage. Of course, big companies do not mind that. They actually wish that nobody knows how much transaction fees are applied to the usage of certain patents. But if we think about the smaller players in the field, it's very complicated. And also middle-sized companies who have patents and would like to make some money with them because they cannot use the innovation they have there on their own, they have a problem because it's very expensive to actually do these due diligence processes and to bring it out there. And by leveraging DAOs and the blockchain technology, the DLT in general, we can radically transform these limitations into opportunities. Let me maybe start a little bit with the foundations here. You probably are all aware with the terms. What is a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization? I do it very quick so that all the participants who are here today will get a brief and fast understanding of the technical components I will discuss in this idea. A DAO is a blockchain-based governance structure where rules and decisions are automated via smart contracts. I like to speak about the smart contract cloud, from which out everything is automated and orchestrated. And in the context of patent licensing and supply chains, DAOs can ensure that, for example, intellectual property is governed in a transparently way, and licensing fees are fairly distributed. So it is taking care of all these orchestrational steps. Therefore, of course, we need micropayments. What are micropayments? Micropayments is basically if you go to a bank and you want to transfer 0.00001 cent, that's not possible. I mean, no bank will do that. It's just inefficient. But with blockchain technology, you can operate this way, especially if you use upfront measures like KC proofs, and so on and so on. This is quite possible and makes it super interesting and cost efficient as well. Then we have NFTs. NFTs are representatives of unique digital assets, which could ensure these IP ownership so that we are aware of who is using what kind of patent at what time and has a kind of allowance in, for example, form of an NFT. There are many use cases which are bound to NFTs as well. And the smart contracts, of course, which is the automate payment and enforce license agreement, which we can put into the system of the DAO, who is then governing everything by rules and revenue distribution, where some agreement comes together how to do that. And instead of fixed licensing fees, this way, with this model, it is possible to apply usage-based payments, aligning the cost with actual value derived, which reduces the financial barriers tremendously. And this is of great importance. And unfortunately, there is no system like that yet out there, but it's coming because we have many advancements in the field of DAOs and micropayments that offer a scalable and automated alternative to traditional licensing models, which also improves, of course, the scalability and supply chains in general. I would like to point out a few key benefits this kind of system will provide. First of all, the real-time usage-based licensing suddenly becomes possible. It is possible to say, okay, I don't want to pay a lump sum upfront, a lot of money to get the allowance to use the patent for a certain time. No, I can actually agree with the licensor that I, as a licensee, will use the patent based on the usage I actually have. So I can use it, for example, on IoT devices. My IoT devices, let's say it's a refrigerator, it has a specific sensor, the sensor is measuring something, and whenever it is measuring, then I have to pay something. And due to the DLT, we have transparency, we have the scalability. The blockchain ensures an open and auditable transaction flow, which is very, very good for doing such things, and which will lead eventually also to lower costs and fewer disputes. Because whenever I have intermediaries involved in this kind of negotiation process, of course, I have disputes, this will come up, but smart contracts can eliminate these intermediaries and reduce the legal frictions that might arise by automating things, and this is a great advantage here. And let me maybe put another point here. By lowering the entry threshold, DAOs will also enable the smaller entrepreneurs and startups to access cutting-edge technologies, promoting also sustainability, which at the moment is unfortunately very difficult, as I said at the beginning of my presentation, to achieve. But with such a system, it would be possible to open up a completely new field of possibilities, and this would allow us actually to build a decentralized licensing marketplace that is more accessible, more cost efficient, and of course innovation friendly as well, if we think about that. And this is something which I'm right now exploring at Ethereum Foundation as well. What possibilities are there? How could one actually build something like that? And what kind of sustainability points do we see there actually? Yeah. So I said before that we are supporting small innovators and startups with this, yeah. Then we lower the entry barriers into markets, yeah. There are many industries, especially in AI, in IoT and biotech, who are dominated by a few major patent holders, and that's quite a problem and is making it quite hard for new entrants to access essential technologies. And this is something where I personally think we should bring a change. Also thinking from the perspective of sustainability, because if you cannot access a patent for the time the patent is granted, if you cannot access this license, then you cannot develop innovation based on this patent. And this is actually very sad, because if we could contribute to a technological sustainability in a far more advanced way. We would reduce waste, we would have no unnecessary disputes, we could orchestrate things automated, we have easier access to everything. Yes. Well, there are many practical use cases, as I said, yeah. Software and AI licensing, of course, yeah. Traditional software licensing is super complex and expensive, yeah. DAOs and NFTs would enable real-time usage based on this license agreements, ensuring a fair compensation for the developers. Then we have, of course, the field of IoT and robotics. Yeah, there are many patents. If you want to do something in robotics, you first have to check what kind of patents are out there, what kind of sensors you can use. I did a startup in 2017. We had the problem. We were building field sensors. We wanted to bring out in the fields. We had to circumvent patents by building our own sensors, and that is annoying indeed. It would be great if there would be a possibility to say, okay, we don't pay upfront a big license fee, but we just use what is out there. You give us this allowance. And this also applies to the creative industry, like music licensing, for example. And there are also some approaches already, which we see, which recently came up with DAOs who try to operate in this field, because artists lose a lot of revenue to streaming platforms and other intermediaries, which is just somehow not fair and not equally balanced at the moment. But if we have NFT-based royalties, and this is what my research also focus on and where I dive even quite deeper in, I concentrate on DAOs, on AMMs and possibilities how to orchestrate that. If we would do that, it would also be fairer for especially the small participants in the market. Yeah, and I don't want to go into details with pharmaceutical patents, drug patents. Often restrict medical research. It's a huge problem. But with blockchain-based patent pools, this would allow decentralized funding and research collaborations to activate this much easier. And I think these real-world cases prove that DAOs and micropayments are not just theoretically. I think they are already transforming how licensing works across industry can improve. And there are many approaches right now coming up. Super interesting field. And for supply chain, this is, of course, also very important. Let me, Nir, you had a very interesting presentation about artificial intelligence, and this is also something where I focus a little bit on now. But since I don't have that much time, I will do it in a very fast way. I think the next frontier in decentralized licensing is the combination of DAOs with artificial intelligence. I published in the beginning of last year a book on this connection of DAOs and artificial intelligence, where these two mechanisms come together. I think the vision is an autonomous, self-regulating licensing system that uses artificial intelligence to evaluate patent demand and price licensing dynamically. Of course, this is just an idea that is still quite futuristic, because at the moment we have LLM systems. In 2017, I was working with artificial intelligence as well. We called it algorithms, not artificial intelligence at that time. And many of these LLM modules are more or less GAN systems, so I would not even put it on that level. But when we approach a higher threshold, if we reach AGIs and something like this, this becomes immensely interesting. And this is something we also have to prepare for more advanced artificial intelligence that then in connection with DAOs might create a self-sustaining ecosystem where innovation and IP are shared fairly and easily. And this is then orchestrated by AI. And this is a very, very interesting, this development. And I think there is a lot of potential to discuss this further. I leave it here. This is just a kind of futuristic approach to give you a little kind of thinking, which I am now right now working and will work in the future as well. And I would like to come to my conclusion to keep it at 15 minutes today. To conclude, DAOs and micropayments offer, first, sustainable patent licensing solutions. We have lower cost, better access. Then second, inspiration for the future, of course. Yeah, a transparent and efficient licensing model could really bring up new kind of market fields and ideas, which it would provide easier access to develop new kind of approaches and technologies. And this is super interesting and fascinating. Yeah. And a decentralized ecosystem, of course. Yeah, we all talk when we talk about blockchain technology. Bitcoin is the thing we talk about, is a big user case, but there are so many more user cases we can build on DLT with layer 2 solutions, which will which will provide a more fair and scalable kind of economic working field. And this, I think, is super interesting. And because I had now to rush through my presentation, I look forward to discussing this further. Feel free to contact me via email or via Telegram. Very open for discussion. This is the research I'm right now conducting. It's very interesting. It goes, of course, much deeper, and it would be fascinating to talk to you guys later on again on this topic. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to present here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan Gero, for kind of guiding us to another quite interesting topic of opportunities to apply blockchain technologies. I see no answer a question in the chat, therefore, and we are already kind of over the hour, but I want to conclude with maybe one question to you, the three of you, and where from your different perspectives see kind of the most needs to push kind of blockchain related standardization activities to achieve all the potential you kind of have presented, but also to maybe address the barriers and the risk, and maybe Moritz, you could start with what would be your conclusion? What could standards or standardization help to address both the opportunity but also the barriers you found in your review of the literature?
Yes, I think most of it is already pushed forward with the ISO TC 307, which promotes interoperability and also common technical frameworks across industries and also borders. Across borders. So this is all cross borders, so quite important for international trade, of course. And so this is, I think, the main driver. Then, of course, so this is from the standard setting bodies. And of course, there are industry consortia out there, the Hyperledger, for example, Linux Foundation, or the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance. And specifically for trade, it would be also pickup of supranational organizations such as the World Trade Organizations that can also support the embedding of blockchain standards into global trade frameworks, and also try to push for solving this regulatory inertia regarding certain processes, such as we found in trade finance, for example, or trade documents. And I would hand over to Nir.
Nir, because you kind of bring together blockchain and AI, and in AI there are several initiatives related to standardization. What is your perspective on kind of the potentials of maybe standardization to push all these synergies and complementarities of these two kind of general purpose technologies?
Right. On standardization, I found one example from the company Chainlink as interesting, because they are developing some type of standardized golden record that they call, and the idea is to apply all these different generative AI tools from OpenAI and Google and Anthropic and all the things put together, and they are working on corporate action data, like which involves dividends and merger and acquisition, stock split, and it is really confusing. Many companies they have their own way of doing dividends, and so really confusing. No companies have the same kind of format, and so what they are doing is using all these generative AI tools, large language models, and then they are developing the golden records, and that apparently complies with the other international standards such as the ISO 20022. And so basically, and also what they are doing is they create that data, and that can be shared with the Chainlinks has own cross-chain interoperability protocol. Basically, different blockchains, different companies might be applying different blockchains, but the data actually extracted from any company standardized and can be shared with all the blockchains using that company's thing. And how successful it will be, but involving many blockchains and standardizing the data and using it. I think they are already working with 6 of the European countries. I don't know which 6 they are talking about, but already working on corporate action data. So the standardization thing might also come from the private sector if things like this are successful, and many companies might follow this. But we have to still know how successful it will be. So this is the only example I found. Best example I found. Of course, there are a lot of initiatives that are being taken, and we'll be talking more about this in New Orleans. But I did not specifically focus on standardization in this presentation.
Thank you. Last question to Jan Gero. Do you have a view how maybe standards can help to exploit the opportunities for tracing IPRs related, or how blockchain kind of based mechanisms could be kind of become even more effective by having appropriate standards?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are already some approaches to bring out such standards. For example, ERC 2981, ERC 4920, something like that, 721C. This is super interesting, especially what is happening on the Ethereum blockchain, in the Ethereum blockchain field. Second layer solutions are indeed quite a fascinating option as well. Yeah, but standards, well, I think what we need is competition. Yeah, also in the field of Web3 and different blockchain approaches. And it's always good if there come different kind of players into the field. Some develop ERC standards, some develop DAOs, some develop artificial intelligence or LM modules that try to orchestrate, for example, IP and IP rights and stuff like that. And this is quite interesting. And I think we need a lot of this, and we need even more. And currently, I'm also thinking about, is it necessary, for example, to have an ERC standard on the Ethereum blockchain that will allow us, for example, to tell people when and if a patent is revoked, for example, that we can change the metadata. There are possibilities like that already in existence. But the question is, how would you then maybe connect this, for example, to official institutions, like, for example, to a patent court or to a registry, something like that? And I think there is a lot we have to think about in regard to standards that could be developed. Yeah, very interesting field, I think.
Okay, that means thank you for your assessment, or also related to the kind of background topic of standardization, which C-Blocks is about, related to blockchain. And since we are losing the first of our few participants, since we are now 10 minutes over the hour, I'd like to thank you very much. I learned a lot. I have to say some topics are maybe even too complicated for me to understand everything, but especially near what you explained, kind of put up this interaction between blockchain and AI. This is certainly quite interesting, and that's probably also become quite important in the future to kind of exploit these things. Then the applications here, Jan Gero kind of presented related to IPR tracing is certainly becoming even more relevant. Maybe in the future we have to see how the geopolitics are developing. We are currently seeing, and therefore thanks a lot, and also thanks Moritz for bringing also the speakers together. Thanks a lot. And especially to Moritz and Nia, have a good flight and trip to New Orleans, and representing C-Blocks also there on our behalf. Thanks a lot. And hope to see you soon, maybe if those which are in Europe are able to come to our final event in Brussels in April. We're looking forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Good time.
It was a pleasure. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.